It runs against some human elements of this, which we often see the adversaries spoofing people in positions of authority. They create senses of urgency. They know how the human mind works.
Right.
They're not hacking a machine, they're hacking a person.
Right.
And so, making sure that even from the highest to the lowest level, even if it's a small shop, saying, I will never ask you to send all of the W-2s from our company
right.
to some email address.
Yeah.
Don't send me that'll never happen via email. It's very similar, and you may have seen it in your other vendor literature. It'll say things like, we will never ask you for this number.
Right.
There's a reason for all that. It's essentially to build confidence that you can say no to the CEO if they're asking you to do something is wrong, and you'll deal with the friction downstream, but I promise you, it's more friction to deal with me. So,
I think most people probably understand a tabletop, but could you just take a couple seconds and tell them what a good tabletop looks like from your perspective?
So the good tabletop is the one that involves all the right people.
Right.
So that's the first thing. If you can block out even an hour with the right stakeholders to get around and say, all right, what lawyer is going to be involved?
Right.
Who has the number to our insurance company?
Right.
Who knows the on-call number for our IT vendor? Who can tell us what the latest backup was? And then we just build a scenario. So right people, some dedicated time. There's nothing worse than a tabletop where the top people don't show up because they're the ones who won't walk outside in a fire drill either, right?
Right.
It's like, it'll turn off in a minute. Getting those people in the right room, and then just coming up with a common scenario. And we pick these, these are scream tests, right? This is just pick a thing that you rely on and say it goes down. You don't know why.
Right.
Now, who's going to call whom? And so tabletop just simply means we're not going to actually take it down.
Right.
We're just going to walk through what would happen and who would say what to whom. And immediately people start to realize, oh wait, our incident response plan either doesn't exist, it's dusty, I've never seen it before, it's out of date. All of these credentials we thought we would rely on, no one knows where they are or what they are, that kind of thing. So, this vendor is 3 vendors ago. And so it's really about doing that kind of classic muscle memory building, and it can be done in a very short amount of time. We often say, if you do something like Cybersecurity Fridays, or once a month or once a quarter, saying it's like a Cybersecurity Down Day, we're going to talk about phishing prevention, we're going to talk about backup recovery and ransomware, and just have some type of culture that, we know this can happen to us, we know it's happened to our colleagues and friends in the industry, so let's not pretend we're going to be, unique and dodge this one.
This particularly good advice came around minute 17 of the presentation, if anybody wants to play it for their executive teams at some point. So it sounds, that last part was all about people. So we heard a lot about people yesterday. So from your perspective, what kind of training, what kind of work? I mean, it seems to me like that's one of the most significant components that you could have in terms of kind of constant, repetitive. We heard yearly training that didn't seem to stick very well. Then we heard quarterly training from people that seemed better. And then we heard monthly training from some folks. So what do you think?
So I think there's diminishing returns. I think there becomes a psychology of, it's like another thing, click, 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 right?
Yeah.
How can I get past this? That's why we tend to emphasize, periodic reminders are helpful, but scenario-based conversations are much more significant. So, yes, absolutely have those resources, things like curricula and other tools we'll offer. You can even, through us, it's all free. You can get basically, computer-based training, that's helpful, but also just saying, emphasis from the right people that is important.
Right.
That we think is more important than the frequency. So if you did it twice a year or even once a year, but that the boss is going to do it too,
right.
Then, we find that sticks a lot more. It gets too gamified sometimes, and you also want to make sure you're creating a culture where if people make a mistake, which they inevitably will, that that it's going to be a safe thing to report.
Right.
So it's not just training about what to look for, but the fact that inevitably you'll make a mistake. So in my military life, we would do these trainings where there'd be 1,000 people in the audience, and you'd tell them in 1 hour, the next hour, all of you will get a phishing email. It will have these words in it. Don't click on it. 11% will click, inevitably. So we're trying to find ways to get past these kind of the natural human aspects of this, that, if you're one of those 11%, don't think I got to hide this from the boss, because often, our claims team can claw back money if you report it immediately.
Right.
And you can get in touch with the financial institutions, pull back those wires and all that kind of thing. If you decide this can wait till Monday, then they can't do that.
Right.
And so we try to create a culture of, this won't get you fired, not doing it is what will create that, the tension.